I hope you're getting all these pictures in as those tear gas clouds start to move in front of the Ferguson Police Department.
Just walking up there and we was finna fall to our knees at the control center. Don't shoot. And they just start shooting.
The year is 2014. America's streets are on fire. Ferguson, Missouri becomes the flashpoint of a nation's fury after the police killing of Mike Brown.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
The protests aren't just loud, they're seismic. And right in the middle of this storm, a voice rises. Not just any voice, a fearless voice. A voice that doesn't just demand change, it commands it.
We gotta start valuing black lives. Value these young men. They the next presidents, the next governors, the next mayors.
Darren Seals was an emerging hero. Or at least, that's what many believed. He wasn't here to play politics, make friends, or sugarcoat the truth. No. Seals stood for something bigger, something raw.
We the after crack era. We the AC generation, after crack. Our fathers left us.
But Darren's story didn't end with his fight, it ended in flames. Literally. Found shot and burned in his car, the questions surrounding his death sparked as much outrage as his life. Was this a vendetta, a message, or something darker? What happened to Darren Seals isn't just a tragedy, it's a mystery that refuses to die. This is the story of a man who fought for truth and paid the ultimate price. This is the story of Darren Seals. Before we dive in, credit where it's due, a huge shout out to the podcast After the Uprising. In this episode, you'll hear insights from their hosts. They are truth seekers who have been instrumental in uncovering the layers of this story. They're part of a growing movement, one that's focused on bringing overlooked and underreported stories to the light. Because in a world full of noise, voices like theirs are cutting through with facts, context, and most importantly, truth.
Hey man, that shit crazy, but look, listen, you can say whatever you want to say, you can voice your opinion. Look, I'm just telling you just for safety issues, because these people will kill you out, bro.
If I die, I'm gonna die for something. I ain't gonna die just another nigga in the streets.
Darren Seals was an activist, a revolutionary, and to many, a hero. All at a time when the people truly needed one.
You could see the pain in people's faces at that time. It had been the first time I held a grown man crying, in fact. And so Darren was among those people who were gathering amongst the many groups of people.
Seals wasn't afraid to call out anyone. Politicians, organizations, even Black Lives Matter. He accused the movement's leaders of hijacking Ferguson's fight, turning it into a cash cow, while leaving this community behind.
Black Lives Matter shit is blowing up. And if you notice, as it's blowing up, you're not hearing about Mike Brown anymore. You're not hearing about Darren Wilson anymore. You're not hearing about the Ferguson Police Department anymore. We're not hearing about none of this corrupt shit by McCullough, Jay Nixon. You're not hearing about none of this shit no more. All you're hearing about is Black Lives Matter now. They took the energy away from Ferguson. But they just collecting checks. I ain't heard of them paying for no funerals. I ain't heard of them starting no programs for the youth, building no centers, nothing.
You see, Darren Seals called out the powerful. He challenged the system. And in doing so, he made enemies. And then it all came to a violent and mysterious end.
One of Ferguson, Missouri's well-known black activists has died. We told you this on yesterday. 29-year-old Darren Seals found shot to death in a burning car on Tuesday.
September 6th, 2016. Darren Seals is found dead in a burning car in Riverview, Missouri. He'd been shot before the fire was set. The murder Well, it sent shockwaves through Ferguson and beyond. The police investigation that followed, well, it would leave more questions than answers.
And that, part of what was driving this this sense by activists and people in Darren's life that the police weren't doing anything was that when they got to the scene the next day, they found, the door to his Jeep was lying there in the parking lot. Apparently bullet casings were still just sort of sitting there, having not been collected. There was this sort of perception that the whole thing represented a big middle finger that was clearly to be read by the community. No. You protested us. We're not looking into, your Darren Seals' death at all.
Who killed Darren Seals? Was it retaliation from one of his enemies? Or was it something more? Documents would later reveal that the FBI had been keeping tabs on Darren Seals, labeling him a revolutionary with access to weapons. Now let's be honest. The FBI, well, it has a well-documented history of bullying not only activists, but black activists. Was he a target for his activism? This operation was opened in March 2016, and he's murdered in September of 2016. Fascinating that in the final 6 months of his life, this noted black activist who meets a tragic end becomes the focus of federal authorities.
There were some who were in the law enforcement who wanted Darren to quiet down. In fact, the loudest voices, they always wanted us to quiet down. And Darren was one of those who was ferocious in his speech, and he was militant in his speech. And the status quo, whether it be the political establishment or law enforcement, wanted to shut that down.
Or could Seals' death be just one in a string of eerily similar murders in St. Louis County? Young black men found shot in burning cars, their killers never brought to justice. The theories are endless. Was it an organized killing, a serial killer, or someone working to silence black voices? Whatever the case, 5 years have passed, and still the search for answers continues. Darren Seals fought for truth, even when it painted a target on his back. His life was cut short, his voice silenced, and to this day, nothing has been done about it. And so it falls to us, to those who care about justice, about truth, to keep fighting. The questions surrounding Darren Seals' death won't go away, and neither will the fight to uncover the truth, because the truth is still out there, buried, burning, but never extinguished. And when the truth becomes dangerous, it's the first thing they'll try to silence.